Good morning from the Paul VI Audience Hall on the first full day of the World Meeting of Families. And we're just paused for a moment after the morning programme. It started with Mass in St. Peter's Basilica, celebrated by Cardinal Farrell, who is the prefect of the dicastery for marriage and family life, on this feast day of the birth of St. John the Baptist. And he spoke about that feast day to us and the aspects of his life and how he is how he teaches us something about the importance of family life himself. Later on in the hall we had a number of speakers from different countries addressing the different situations from their own respective places of ministry and work, from France and from Burundi, and also it was begun by a couple from the United States who spoke very well about the domestic church, the church of the home, and how the church of the home is a real church, a place built on prayer, a place that has a mission, a place that also has an outreach in helping other families as well. It gave us a lot to think about too. So we have paused at the moment now, and we're waiting to begin the next session, which will be, I believe, about different generations, about grandparents and about parents and youth as well. So we look forward to hearing that. After the celebration of the Mass this morning, we were invited back over to the Paul VI Audience Hall to begin the first full day proper of the World Meeting of Families. And this was going to have the format of various panels in the morning, afternoon, and later on, talking about various themes. And really, today we were looking at situations of families that were in difficulty or in trouble and how they lived those moments together. There was, once again, talks from different countries in the world. We had one discussion about the role of the elderly in the family, how so often society may see them as a burden, as a problem, when in fact this should not be the case, and they are not weak. And how they should be directly involved in the family and are central to the message of the family. And these speakers spoke really about how they long for the day where there weren't cases of institutions for elderly people, rather they were kept centrally within our families, and spoke very movingly about the importance of the elderly and how they contribute and are central to our family life. Then after that came a contribution from a South African couple from Durban, and they have worked with an organisation called Retrovale, which works with couples who are in difficulty in their married lives. And they spoke about the various stages that can involve. First of all, a kind of romance period, then a disillusionment, then a misery, and then a joy. And they recounted to us their own personal story of how really it was love at first sight. And the husband of this marriage spoke about how his heart would race when he saw his wife-to-be, and they wanted to get married as soon as possible, but they couldn't because he had to go away and complete his military service at that time for 2 years. But they longed for the day when they could marry, and as soon as that was possible, they got married. But not long after that, it seemed that they encountered difficulties. He began to be annoyed at his wife, to resent his wife, not least because she was still very involved in her own family. And the husband of this marriage, he kind of resented that. And as time went on, turns out that her father took Parkinson's, became very ill. She had to spend a lot of time caring for him. And over this time, the husband began to withdraw more and more from the marriage and seek outside pursuits and interests, get very involved in a running club. And it seems that there he met someone else, betrayed his wife. She found out, and she said that she felt no longer special, no longer loved, wanted to run away, wanted to hide. But when it was discovered that he was having an affair, he said sorry, but he realized he had to say more than sorry. He said, I have to ask for your forgiveness, because when you ask for forgiveness, it means that you are giving the power away to the person who needs to forgive. And he realized that he needed his wife's forgiveness. She said she knew she had to forgive, but this was not going to be simple. And it's a process that took a long time. It took dialogue, it took communication. And that's what they did. And even now, they said there are moments of difficulty, but they can talk about this now. And thanks to the work of the Retrovail group, they were able to work through this. And yes, they experienced the misery, but also they rediscovered joy. And the wife said towards the end of the testimony, she thinks she's got her old husband back. So it was a real heartfelt testimony where they shared this difficult time in their lives. And later in the day, there was a couple from the United States that spoke on the theme of we need mothers and fathers and the complementary roles that they have in our life. And she was anxious to point out that this can sometimes be lost in our culture today, where feminism is replacing femininity, for example. But she said that the family has its own mission. Every family has a mission, and the church should recognize this and allow families to fulfill their mission, and let them share their fatherhood and motherhood in that mission. And this means that families are in a particularly best place to help other families who are in difficulty, struggling with things like betrayal, like addiction, like grief, or like isolation. And they said the mission of the family is there to help other families. And the role of motherhood and fatherhood within that is central, cannot be replaced by anything else. Finally, the day in the audience hall came to a conclusion with prayers in various languages, and then we all prayed together the official prayer of the World Meeting of Families. But it was merely to adjourn, as we were invited to travel over to the other side of the city to attend a concert in the Lateran Palace, where the Diocese of Rome offices are located. And there we enjoyed a concert out in the courtyard, out in the open air in the Roman evening. Beautiful music and a beautiful and stirring way to end this first full day of the World Meeting of Families.
As we